Just sitting here staring at you. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what life was like before Zoom.
Yeah, me too.
How did we survive?
We should be all set.
Okay. And then I'm going to call the Wednesday, September 14th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the City of Bowling Green to order. If you have a copy of an agenda, you will see that there are 3 requests for variances. I will tell you now, in case anybody's here for this one, that Scott Gagner on Standish Drive has asked that we table his until next month because he's unable to be here tonight. So we only have 2 variances. You are asking us to take an existing zoning rule for the City of Bowling Green and change it for you. If it is granted, it will stay with the property. If it's not granted and you want to pursue it further, you have the option of going to the Court of Common Pleas. That's why this is a quasi-legal procedure. And we have the best court reporter in Northwest Ohio who takes everything down. So I'm going to ask, so don't say anything that you don't want to go into the official record. I will ask you to go up to the podium and state your name and address and explain to us why not being granted this variance would be considered a hardship for you, or in other words, living with the existing zoning rule would be a hardship for you. I will ask you now, if you're going to testify, would you please stand up and raise your right hand because you need to be sworn in. Even if you think you're going to testify, it's okay. I swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Then you're all sworn in. Thank you. Okay. Now may I have an approval of the minutes of the June 8th meeting? It was a long time ago.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Time out 1 second. Is there a spot where I'm supposed to do, who seconded that for the approval of, I mean, I see that I signed down here, but is there, no, okay,
We have a fairly new secretary, so
Okay,
he
all right.
needs some clarification.
thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Okay. The first one is a request for a variance from Mr. and Mrs. Saxena at 837 Tomahawk Lane have requested a variance to allow the construction of a 6-foot tall fence in the 25-foot front yard setback. It's a corner lot. Fence would be in the front yard that faces TP Street, which would be 2 feet taller than the 4-foot maximum allowed, and to allow the fence to be located within the visibility triangle. In fact, there are 2 requests for variances in this, but I'm taking it as one because one is dependent upon the other. And I'm going to ask the city now to explain the
Okay, thank
zoning
you.
rule and why they're, and then we'll ask the petitioner to come up and speak.
So under section 150.91 of the zoning code titled fences, under section B, it says 4 feet when placed within a required front yard setback, but must not be installed in such a manner as to violate section 150.05. So basically, this is a corner lot. I know we've seen a lot of those over the years. So it has 2 front yards. So 2 minimum front yards of 25 feet of what they're required to maintain. They can only have up to 4 feet tall for the fence. And then it refers to section 150.05, which is the visibility triangle that I'll explain next. Actually, I won't. Next, I'll do section 150.16, which is the bulk and density regulations, which basically under the R2 single family zoning, which is what that property is zoned, the required setbacks are the minimum front yard 25 feet. So that's where we get that front yard requirement. And then to section 150.05, the traffic visibility at intersections, it says, irrespective of any other provision of this chapter, no building or other structure or fence or planting of greater than 2 feet in height shall be erected or maintained in any district within the triangle, 2 sides of which shall commence at the corner of the corner lot and extend 25 feet away from the corner along each lot line and extend diagonally from the 25-foot point on one lot line to the 25-foot point on the other, except that this provision is not applicable at intersections within the central business district controlled by traffic lights. Here is a visual that I believe I put in your packet. This is what we created several years ago to help people visualize the various visibility triangles on a corner. So you can see here where that says varies, that means the right of way varies on different streets. And then you'll see normally there will be a concrete sidewalk present in most areas, not all, but most, to give an idea where that right of way edge is. So then where those intersecting right of ways happen on those two streets is the corner. So you go from the corner and then you take the 25 foot along that public right of way. And then you go the other direction, in this case would be south, another 25 feet, and then you draw a triangle. So that is where you are only allowed to have up to a 2 foot tall planting, fence, etc. So hopefully that helps a little bit. It's a little confusing reading all that, and then putting it into a diagram we hope is helpful. So here's an aerial view of the property. As you can see, it's a fairly new house, so it's not shown on this aerial, but at least it gives you an idea of the corner lot. Plus, it's a little unique because it also has an additional public right of way at the rear yard, which is the West Gypsy Lane Road. So we did grab some pictometry using the auditor website. So you can see the house was in progress at that point in time, and at least, again, give you some different angles to look at it. So this would be where that car is. This would be the Gypsy Lane view. So the back of the home, technically. Here is the front of the home. So that would be that TP. And then here is the front of the home, which would be the Tomahawk, where you get the address from. And then this is the other side of the property. And here's some pictures. This is the front of the house angled towards, I guess that'd be Gypsy Lane there. And then again, another view of both front yards. This would be the view of the front yard here. And then Gypsy would be this side of the screen. And then here's looking toward, this would be to the east. So Gypsy over here. And then technically that is their rear yard where the house face would end. And then the remaining property would be that 25 foot setback in the front yard. Another view. And then here's again looking at the front, the corner again. Here is as you head out of the subdivision and you approach Gypsy Lane. So you can see there's a stop sign there. It's hard to see by this picture, but there's actually a pretty deep right of way, which makes it a bit deceiving how this is organized. So it's a little unique when it comes to this subdivision. This is a little bit better of a picture where you can see the sidewalk placement and then their right of way about a foot inside the sidewalk, where their property starts. And then again, that big grassy right of way for potential future widening of a street or a bike path or something. Basically, right of way is used as a tool for the city for future planning. Here is looking the other direction. So that would be to the west. So you can see down that Indian Trace subdivision. There is another 6 foot fence there that you can see. That's privacy. No issues with that. Didn't need a variance because again, it's an in lot. So it did, it's allowed to be in the front or, the side or the rear yard. So that one is in compliance. It's a little bit closer view. And then I did a sketch that I gave you a copy of just to be a bit more helpful. I'm a very visual person, so that's why I thought this would help you. But it basically lays out the right of way. So the orange lines I show you there. And then you can see that kind of faint mint green is the property line. And then I give you in red a general idea of the 6 foot tall fence that they would like to place. So you can see it as Judy Ennis said earlier, this is the front they'd like to place it in. And then that blue is the visibility triangle where they'd also be in the visibility triangle. So again, I hope that's helpful. Oh, one other thing to add, there is a stop sign here. And as you can see, that stop sign is quite a ways back from Gypsy Lane. So if you drive over there, 9 times out of 10, you're probably pulling a bit past the stop sign anyways to get closer to that actual intersection. So I did share this with our public works director. His name is Mick Murray, and asked him to go drive by there because we both felt that there is an opportunity there to move that stop sign closer to Gypsy Lane. And that may make the visibility there a little better, even if there was a 4 foot fence there. For example, if they did put up 4 foot, they could do that, but that might move. They could do it in their property, not the visibility triangle, but they could move then that stop sign, creating a little better visibility. So I'm just telling you that as an option because we thought that right of way is so wide than a normal, it's wider than a normal subdivision, that it may give some opportunity there to move that. And it might get moved anyways, quite honestly, because people do naturally go past it anyways. So again, just pointing that out to you. And then here's a sketch that was in your packet showing the proposed fencing in yellow. And again, the variance is just for in the front here. Again, they could line up with their house as long as they were out of that visibility triangle. Okay, so that is it for my portion, except we did receive an email. I gave you a copy of the email. And I will read that so it's in the record. So I received this on Thursday, September 1st, 2022 at 9:54 a.m. It went to the planning department email regarding Board of Zoning regarding 837 Tomahawk fence request. Says Heather, zoning board, as owner developer of the Indian Ridge, we have told buyers regarding fencing to go by the rules of the city of Bowling Green fencing requirements. Other owners, for example, corner of Indian Ridge and Arrowhead, have same side lot configuration with the fence, couple inches over 4 feet. I would think keeping that consistency would be in order. It seems to provide better, clear corner vision, privacy, and still relatively attractive. Thanks, Al Green. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. I will explain how this is going to work. We'll ask the petitioner to come up and explain to us why they're asking for this variance and why not being granted it would be considered a hardship. The board will then ask questions. If there's anyone in the audience who's been sworn in who would like to make a comment, they too may come up and make a comment. We will then close the public hearing, which means you don't have to leave the room, but we just then discuss it amongst ourselves. We come back out of the private hearing and we vote, and you will have your answer. By the time you leave, you will know whether or not that variance has been granted. Okay? Sir, you want to identify yourself, please?
Yeah.
And
My name is Manoj Saxena, and good evening, everyone. And as Madam mentioned, that I want a 6 feet tall, requesting 6 feet tall fence there. And we have noticed that most of the cars don't stop at the stop sign; they go well beyond just near the curve of the gypsy lane. And so it's not stopping, not doing any visibility problem for anyone. Secondly, when I work in my backyard, people, because I should not say, but we have a minority people, and they honk and they shout, and which is very troubling. So this is a big problem for us. And in the photographs, I showed that height 4 feet. If it is 4 feet, it has no meaning for us.
Oh, that's what
There is nothing 4 feet, because our house is so tall, and the 4 feet will make no difference whether we have it or don't have it. So my request is that we should be allowed for 6 feet fence because of the special circumstances that we have.
okay, members of the board, do you have any questions or comments? First of all, I'd like to apologize that people are going by and saying disparaging things.
continuous.
That's not the Bowling Green.
Yeah, it's continuous because there's a very
That's not
busy
the Bowling Green
road.
that we all recognize.
And I at least
appreciate.
10 times I have no, based on myself, people shout, just say comments, very scary also.
Oh, I'm sorry for that. And again, I apologize on behalf of all these people who are so rude.
Were you aware of the visibility triangle when you bought the house?
No,
No.
not at all.
I guess I do have a comment. Regarding the traffic, did you anticipate traffic being a problem living on
No.
with your backyard up to a busy street?
I was living in Bowling Green earlier also, and never had, but it wasn't like a corner lot like this.
Right.
It was 10th Street, so I never had any problem there.
Yeah, Gypsy Lane is I've lived in this town all my life, and that's a main
And we were
main
expecting,
road.
we were expecting a fence, we'll have a fence there, so we never thought of that. The 4 feet is only allowed here. We never knew that in our dreams.
Did you speak with any of your neighbors about your desires
No.
to do this?
Have you heard from any of your neighbors? Anybody make any comments to you about?
No, no, sir.
I normally don't have a, I should take that back and say it the other way. I normally have issues with structures and traffic visibility tracking. Like serious safety concern. In this situation, doesn't appear to be quite bad. Driven out there and taking a look. Does anyone from the city, are there any plans, not that it really matters at this point in time, to widen Gypsy Lane Road or? a bike
That would be
path?
my only big concern. If something does happen, the Gypsy Lane or like a bike path, or they do widen or improve that street more, then because I did drive by there last week and I mean, if he puts the fence up now, it's great, but if something happens into that right of way.
Is it fair to speculate
Yeah, right.
on what, could be done? I'm not certain. I guess I'm more concerned about the rationale and whether or not it's actually a hardship based on the pre-existing condition that it's a corner lot. I mean, I think it would be reasonable to assume if I'm on a corner lot that there's going to be some traffic concerns. Traffic noise, certainly not people yelling at you. I live in town. People honk at me all the time. I guess I always wave hello, but shame on people for making derogatory comments. But the street noise itself of the vehicles going by,
Yeah.
I guess should have been anticipated in my opinion.
I agree on a couple things that you said, Matt. One is that I don't really think it matters, but the intention right now is it could always happen in the future. The variance is forever granted. I do appreciate your concern about, I hesitate to use this word, but harassment. I think that's most unfortunate. So having said that, I guess I don't really have that big of a problem with the height of the fence. I would ask you this though, have you considered, would you be agreeable to building the fence, constructing it outside the traffic visibility frame, or it's going diagonally across that corner?
So
of the lot?
making that shape cut out that way. Yeah, we can do that.
Because if you do that, and then they do move the stop sign forward,
Mhm.
you could always come back and ask to close that back in. If it's no problem, then you'd have your entire closure then.
Yeah.
In the event that they do move the stop sign. But I looked at it too and I'm like, wow, that's way back.
The visibility triangle will always be the visibility triangle there due to the right of way already being there.
Yeah.
So,
People may be more lenient, to let it go if that stop sign is farther forward, where that vehicle has to stop, not blocked.
I guess I also have some concerns about, that being the only house on that portion of the street. You putting up a 6-foot fence, what that could potentially do to the ability to sell or develop the other lots. If I've already see that a special circumstance has been made, some people may not appreciate having that tall of a fence. So I have some concerns there.
Did the builder or the developer of the property, Mr. Green, did anyone ever speak to you about any heights of any kind of fencing that you would put up?
No.
Did you ask that question?
No, I never asked that question because I was just expecting that we'll have a fence here.
If you weren't having harassment calls as you're working in your yard, would that be necessary? Would you feel it was necessary to get special variance from this board?
I didn't get this question, ma'am.
If you were not getting those harassing driving by,
Mhm.
would you still believe that it was necessary to come before this board and ask for a taller?
Yes, because the other reason is we as a family, this 4 feet height, as I showed in the picture, that has no meaning there. It is so low that if we just stand there, we will be just like looking at the traffic, right? There is no meaning of that fence. There is no privacy there if you don't have a 6 feet tall.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions before I close the public hearing? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, gentlemen, we're opening it to our discussion. Don't everybody.
Well, I'll start it, and it's not the last comment that should be made. But just to begin conversation, One things we have to consider, first of all, are do you consider when you're a buyer of a property and where that property is located? And in this particular case, as was pointed out, West Gypsy Lane is a very busy highway. There will be more traffic coming down TP, and as that develops, I think we just have to take that into consideration as we consider what we're going to be doing with this. Not that that should prejudice us, but that should be part of our decision.
Anybody else?
I wouldn't be opposed to the 6-foot fence if they do the triangle. As in, I mean, I want that triangle to be able to be there. You want to, I want.
I'm
to be able to
concerned
see
about
it.
the triangle also.
But if he can work around that, either drop the fence down to, is it 2 foot? I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And go 6 foot to 2 foot, then back up to 6 foot. I'd be good with that.
What about just cutting across? the
Or
front?
cut across, I mean, whatever he prefers to do.
So he can put up a 4-foot fence and then put up 12-foot arborvitae all along the back of the fence, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's the only part that concerns me is as a zoning board, we make decisions based on hardship, but that we have purpose to zoning. We say that we want fences to be at certain heights, and that when we get compelling requests to make them to change those, we hear them, but we also have to keep in mind that we have a responsibility to adhere best we can to the code which is before us.
Laws. Yep. Is there any other discussion before I ask for a motion? Right, hearing none, may I have a motion? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
Who seconded that?
You move to grant it?
And what's the
To
motion?
vote, motion
Oh.
to vote.
No, you have a
No.
motion to grant.
Oh, motion to, I'm sorry, motion to grant.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You want to
Sorry, thank
grant the request?
Yes, yes.
That's what you're doing.
Yes,
That's
and
what
you
your
can vote.
motion
If you
is.
don't want it,
Correct.
you
That
vote
is
no.
correct.
If you do want it, you vote
I-
Yeah,
yes.
I'm just making sure.
No, I
And-
thank you. I appreciate it. I ask lots of questions too.
The motion to grant as written,
As written.
no changes.
Yes,
Can I make a motion to amend that motion?
you can.
After,
After we
You
vote,
can't,
Well, we're going to vote to either approve or deny it right now,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Once it's denied, it's denied. So what I'm thinking is I would like to amend the motion to include that the fence be built at 6 feet, but cut across visibility. triangle.
the petitioner would have to amend it, not board.
we could amend it by Robert's rules, I believe.
Yes, but he would need to
but
tell us
we'd
that he
have-
would do that.
It would have to fail first. We were to do it.
When I asked him the question, he said, yeah, we can do that.
Well, then he needs to say, I will amend my petition to say that. So we need to vote because we have a motion out here right now. So. Secretary, call the roll, please.
Matt Bostorff, no. Judy Ennis,
No.
Hobie Johnson,
No,
Rod Noble,
Yes.
Chris Ostrowski is not present. David Flieger,
no,
Jay Sockman.
no,
Sir, your request for variance was not granted. Now you have two alternatives. You can take it to Court of Common Pleas, or you can come back next month. You can change your request to the suggested 8 feet, 9 feet, and then go drop it down as we talked about. So you can bring that back next month and
8
see if
feet.
that request for variance will go through. Okay?
To avoid that visible triangle.
Yes, that's what Mr. Noble had asked you, and he said that you had agreed to. So if that's, you can come back again next month, to work with the planning department, put that request in for your variance. Okay? Okay.
I just want to clarify that the fence, just for his sake and his wife's, if he keeps the height of the fence at 4 feet and reduces it or removes it from the visibility triangle, then he would be adhering to the rules and would not have to come in front of us.
But
But
If you want to-
if he wants a 6-foot fence, just for clarification, that doesn't mean that it will be approved,
that does
but that it'll
not,
be come back in front of the zoning board of
it does
appeals.
not.
Okay.
But it would be a different variance that we could
Correct.
hear again.
All right.
So
You
those-
understand that? No.
What the visibility triangle, then I don't have to come.
If
If
it's
you
4
keep
foot,
it 4 feet.
If you keep it 4 feet.
4
You
feet,
want
you do
6
not have
foot.
to come back
okay.
because that's what
What is the visibility triangle? I have to come back.
you
Correct.
did it up the 12 feet and then you brought it down for the visibility triangle. If you presented those plans, then you could come back because it would be different than what we just voted down.
Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you.
Okay? Does the city attorney have anything to say about that? Okay. And by the way, this is our Hunter Brown, our city attorney. We have a full-time city attorney here and I promise to keep us out of jail. I know you did, Hunter. Okay, the second one. The second request for a variance is Cody Hunt of Arco Construction on behalf of SP Woodstream Drive, Bowling Green, Ohio, LLC, has requested a variance for the construction of a 9-foot tall high chain link security fence to be located at 2490 Woodstream Drive, the new FedEx under construction, which will be 2 feet taller than the maximum allowable height of 7 feet in the M3 Business Park zoning district. Heather?
Yes, again, same section of the zoning code, section 150.91 fences. A fence erected on a lot line or within a setback may not exceed in height the following under E. In any M district, a 7-foot fence may be erected on a lot line or within any setback except for the traffic visibility triangle as defined by section 150.05. And M district stands for industrial. I know that could be confusing, but it's actually an industrially zoned property. So this is a very large parcel. Actually, there's 2 parcels. I think it's over 90 acres in total. If you've been by there, you'll see how grandiose the building is. They're building about 250,000 square feet. And this is an extension of Woodbridge Business Park. And there actually is 2 different entry points. Technically, there is Wooster Street here to the south and to the north. This is Woodstream Drive, which is again part of Woodbridge. Not a lot to see with pictometry right now. Obviously, it's just bare land in these pictures. But again, just wanted to give you a sense of the project. It's so large, I can't even get it on the whole screen, unfortunately. But again, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So here, that would be Wooster Street. This would also still be Wooster Street there to the left of the screen. And then here's some pictures of the project. Obviously still under construction. It'll be a bit yet here. And this is Wooster here. Again, it's hard to show you the scale and get pictures because it is so large. And this would be looking actually from Carter Road at the building that you can see. And this is actually from that Woodstream Drive, looking towards the building with the retention area there. I know this is hard to see on the screen, but you have a copy in your packet. So that red line there would be the proposed 9-foot tall fencing. 7 foot is the max. I'm not sure yet if they plan on doing the actual chain link with barbed wire or not. I suppose you can ask those questions. But it's kind of strange in our code. We actually have outside the zoning code, another code that's in a safety section called 100.03, electrical fences prohibited, barbed wire fences restricted, where it talks about needing consent for barbed wire fence, if it's 3 barbed wire fence from the adjoining property owners. So they're here simply to get the variance for the height. But at that point, they weren't really sure about the barbed wire or not. So just pointing that out to you. Again, it's not a zoning code issue, only the height is, but just giving you all the information so you have that. So if there's any questions, happy to answer those. We did not receive any phone calls or written correspondence. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the Administrative Code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed first class mail to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedural requirements for the hearing have been met.
Sir? Go ahead.
How are you guys doing? I'm Troy Shiley. I'm with Scannell Properties, the developer of this building. As you
You
mentioned.
want to
this-
give your address?
Oh, sorry. 8801 River Crossing Boulevard, Suite 300, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46240. So this is a FedEx ground that we are currently building that's under construction in the Woodbridge Park. Arco Construction is building it for us as the general contractor. It is on the eastern side of Woodbridge, as was shown up there. This is going to be a package facility. And so what they are handling out of this facility are secure packages that are delivered, and this will be a major facility for the tenant for all of Northwest Ohio. And so they will be taking packages, keeping them, sorting them in the facility, and then sending them out. In terms of why we need this, or why the tenant needs the security fence, it's for security reasons. At a 7-foot tall fence, someone can get into the property if they so wish at an easier ability than a 9-foot tall fence. As mentioned, we would be building a 8-foot tall fence with 2 strands of barbed wire to get it up to 9 feet. Their FedEx's spec calls for 3 strands of barbed wire. They're willing to take that down to 2 to fit in with the other code that is not part of the zoning code. In terms of the security, the packages that are in this, while typically can be personal items that are being delivered as people get packages delivered to their homes, the tenant also deals with secure packages coming from abroad, going to government facilities, delivering to Bowling Green, universities, everything. It can be delivered to sensitive documents that are coming through this facility. And so having a secure facility, that is one of the main reasons why they want that security. And so that fence, keeping their perimeter secure. Also, there have been issues that have happened in other facilities with personnel, disgruntled employees and things like that. So keeping their employees safe as well is another hardship for them. Lastly, if it was just to be a 7-foot fence, in order to keep those packages safe, would require significant costs inside the building in order to create a secure facility. And so that's creating a hardship in terms of costs as well. I believe that is what I had in terms of hardships.
Okay.
Any questions?
Gentlemen, do you have any questions? I have a question, and is this kind of a standard fence for,
It is.
okay,
It is a standard fence.
but you normally have 3 strands of barbed wire
Correct.
and you're reducing it to 2. Okay.
So it is their standard. And it will be a chain link fence as well. It's going to be see-through and in the center of the property. So as you can, the large property, it's pretty far set back.
I assume it'll be well maintained.
Yes.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. Did either one of you gentlemen wish to? Okay, just identify yourself and give your name and address, please.
So my name is Cody Hoon. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, 900 North Rock Hill Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63119. I'm one of the project managers on this project, and so I've dealt with Heather and Jamie with submitting the variance and understanding the variance, and bringing this to Scannell's attention as well. So I did want to kind of reach on the point of the fact that we are doing, you guys have the site plan? Yeah. This is going to be right all along, like it's going to be right around the building. It's not going to be along any of the main roadways that are entrances and exits to the building. So I think that should be a selling point as well. moving on to the detail, like Troy had mentioned, we are doing the 8 foot, and then we are going to adhere to the section 100.03 and reducing that to 2 barbs instead of 3. So we are here to request for the 9 foot variance, based off the FedEx spec and what they feel has been useful in other parts of the United States and keeping their security, for their facility.
Have any questions? for me?
Just one quick question. If you're not able to do a 9-foot fence and you could only do a 7-foot fence, what steps would need to be taken to secure the facility? Give me a little bit better idea of what that means.
As far as,
Well, and maybe I'm asking the wrong person. That's fine. I may need to ask you, but he made mention that if in order to secure the building, it would be cost prohibitive to take X steps and it'd be cheaper to put up a higher fence. I guess I'm curious what steps would need to be taken if we do not grant the variance to secure that building. I'm just, you got to go to the podium.
You
I
gotta go to the
apologize
podium.
making you get up. Yeah.
Because of the Zoom, so please talk into the
Yeah.
mic.
So in terms of next steps, I can't speak specifically to their specs, but I do know that they have more intensive security rooms into the building, building out those security rooms, guards, as you mentioned. But yes, it would be when you're entering the building, having a lot more of a secure facility. I don't want to speculate, but saying things like turnstiles, bulletproof glass, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Glass.
I'm only calling attention to it because you made mention that it was
Correct.
right. It was cost prohibitive. I guess I would have thought you'd had a little more detail to present that why and how it's cost prohibitive. But I get what you're saying in general.
Correct. So it is, I know in their specs, there is a lower security system and then there are higher security systems that have to go in. Typically those would be in more urban areas that have more of a security concern, that you would maybe have to be putting those in an area like this that you wouldn't be doing here.
Okay. Thank you.
So, and this whole fence is going to be wrapped in fabric. It's not going to be chain link. Is that correct?
It is chain.
It is chain link.
I see it says fence fabric on this drawing.
Sir, you want to give
Okay,
your name?
I'm
So
sorry.
You would go up here and.
That's how I.
Mike Simpson with Arco National Construction, 900 North Rock Hill Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63119. The fabric is the actual wire. That's called welded wire.
Okay,
So there's no additional material.
Correct.
all right. I didn't know if it was going to be, you know how some that put like a
Not like a black.
visibility fabric so you can't see. Not that that matters. I just saw that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? Anyone else wish to make any comments?
thank you for your time.
You. Members of the zoning board, did you have any questions for the gentleman that are here? Okay.
I do.
No, ma'am.
If not, then I will close the public hearing and let's talk about this.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
I don't think anybody does.
No.
Okay?
I think it's far enough away from the road too. I don't think it's.
Yeah, that's the best part.
And
It's
it's
far enough
around their
away and
building.
it's just around the building, so.
I'd like
Okay,
to make a motion to
We
approve.
have to go back into session.
I will go back into the public session and sir, would you like to remake your motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Did you get Ron second?
Rod second. Jay. Okay. I will call the roll.
Yes.
Thank you.
You got it.
Judy Ennis.
Yes.
Kobe Johnson.
Yes.
Rod Noble.
Yes.
Chris Ostrowski, not present. David Flieger.
Yes.
Jay Sockman.
Yes.
Matt Bostorff, yes.
Sir, your request for your variance has been granted and welcome to Bowling Green. We're very glad to have you with us.
Absolutely.
The next part is lobby visitation. Is there anybody here who wants to visit with us? If not, I do have,
Gentleman has a question.
I was just gonna say, City of Bowling Green.
thank you.
Very hospitable. You guys are welcome to come by the site and like side. Please get with one of us. And we'll have.
Thank you very much. We'd like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And
I was
I'm
just
sure
gonna hop
mayor
the fence.
appreciates you. And the poor planning director appreciates them. I do have a comment here. As the representatives of the planning board, at the planning board meetings, we always, they always do zoning board updates and I always get to tell them everything that we do here. And I just wanted to give you, I wanted to reverse it a little bit now and tell you that the planning board has been, after 3 months of extremely lengthy meetings and very detailed, where we went over the proposed zoning code line by line. We passed it on last week to the city council with almost 2.5 pages of recommendations that we wanted seen added or taken out of the proposed zoning code. So I would like to say, for the record, kudos to Heather and the planning department because she provided us with all kinds of information and a paper that we could check it off with. And the mayor and Lori were great and complimenting the planning commission for their diligent work. But the planning commission, one of their questions was, they would ask the zoning board where we had the most variances. And did they think this new rule would help alleviate some of the variances? So what we do here is really noticed and taken into content by the planning commission. So I just wanted to give you gentlemen an update on it. And thankfully, this is not a 3-hour meeting. So may I have a motion for
I just
adjournment?
wanted to add to that, pay attention to the website, the zoning code update. If you want to see the planning commission recommendations, you want to look at the zoning map that's proposed. It shows you your current zoning, proposed zoning, the map. I think it's very helpful to do that. And looking to the future, whenever it may be passed, there will be a training by the company Zone Co. So that will be very critical that you all can attend that training. So thank you.
Thank you. Now may I have a motion for adjournment?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye and vote with your feet, but don't leave because you got to sign the secretary's paper.
Aye.
Okay.